Rain beads gather on the glass roof of the arcade, making the midnight bookshop below it seem already half asleep. This part of the night is quiet enough to belong to you. The night keeper stands beside the narrow bookshop door beneath the Rain arcade, with the brass key resting in a steady hand, the stone floor dry underfoot, the shop windows glowing low, and the hour in no hurry at all. It rests there before it reaches the lock, soft brass warmed by a worn leather cord, rounded at the edge from many gentle thresholds. It does not shine brightly. It only catches one lamp at a time. Around you, the arcade is closed to the day, but open to this softer hour. The glass roof arches high above the walkway. Rain touches it in patient little taps, then slides down the panes in silver threads. On both sides, the shop fronts sleep behind dark windows. A stationer has left a stack of cream envelopes in a neat tray. A flower seller has covered the last buckets with linen. A clockmaker's window, holds quiet faces with their hands resting just past midnight. The bookshop waits near the middle of the arcade, under a green awning that never gets wet. Its sign is too dim to read from where you stand, and it does not matter. The window shows a reading chair angled toward the rain, a lamp with a small amber shade, a folded blanket on the arm, and a cup waiting on a tray. No one is late here. No one has to choose quickly. The rain has covered the outer city with a soft sound, and the arcade has gathered that sound into a roof, a floor, a row of warm windows, and one quiet door. The brass key turns with a mild click. The bookshop exhales lamp warmth into the arcade. Your first step inside is only a step into quiet. The door closes behind you without a hard sound. A small bell hangs above it, but a ribbon has been tied around the clapper for the night, so it gives only the faintest muted note, more felt than heard. The sound disappears into shelves, rugs, and paper. The air inside is warmer than the arcade, though not close or heavy. It carries old paper, polished wood, a little beeswax from the counter, and the clean steam of tea kept in a small copper kettle. The floorboards are covered by a long runner, the color of moss after rain. Each step lands softly. For a few minutes, there is nothing to do except arrive. The chair by the window is already turned toward the glass roof of the arcade. From that chair, the rain can be seen falling above and beyond, never entering, never asking anything of the room. The lamp beside the chair has a green shade, and its light rests low on the side table. A porcelain cup waits there with a saucer beneath it. The tea is warm enough for both hands, not hot enough to demand attention. You may sit or simply let the idea of sitting become enough. The chair receives weight with a soft settling of its cushion. The folded blanket opens easily across the knees. It is wool, but smooth wool, brushed by long use. Its edge is stitched in a pattern of small leaves, so subtle that it is almost only texture. Outside the window, the rain arcade stretches away in both directions. Lamps repeat themselves along the glass, smaller and softer as they go. The shop fronts, opposite the bookshop, are reflected in the wet panes, envelopes, clocks, covered flowers, a row of blue cups. In a quiet cafe window, everything has been put away for the night with care. Inside, the bookshop keeps a low murmur of small sounds. A kettle breathes once. A kettle breathes wates. A shelf settles by a fraction. Somewhere high above, a drop reaches the gutter on the outside of the glass roof and travels down with a whisper. The breath can become slower here, without being told, to hands around the cup, blanket across the knees, rain beyond the glass, lamp beside the chair. The first minutes can stay simple. Simple things are easy to carry into sleep. The front of the bookshop is arranged for browsing without choosing. The shelves nearest the chair are low, with rounded corners and wide wooden tops, where small lamps sit beneath green shades. The books are not lined up like a lesson to learn. Some stand straight, some lean against one another. A few lie flat, as if they have settled down before you arrived. Their covers are cloth, paper, linen, and soft leather, muted by the night into rain, blue, fern green, cream, slate, warm brown, and the faded rows of old bookmarks. A narrow counter waits near the door. During the day, someone may wrap parcels there, stamp cards, or write names on special orders. Tonight it is cleared except for the copper kettle, 2 cups, a folded cloth, and a small plate with 3 plain biscuits under a glass cover. The cover keeps its own little circle of lamplight. The rain on the arcade roof is visible through the broad front window. Every drop changes the reflections, and the room stays undisturbed. The bookshop floor holds faint gold shapes from the lamps. The shelves hold soft shadows, like small places to rest. If standing feels right, you stand slowly, letting one hand drift near the shelf edge without pulling anything out. The paper spines pass by in a quiet row. None of the titles insist. Some are turned inward, some are written in letters, too small to read from a sleepy distance. At this hour, a book can be only a color, a weight, a soft rectangle, waiting where it belongs. The night keeper remains near the front for a moment, only a calm presence by the locked door, making sure the arcade stays outside and the warmth stays in. Then the front lamp lowers by one small shade. The room grows less bright and somehow more welcoming. The first book you touch is not chosen by its title. It is chosen by weight instead. A medium weight, pleasant in the hands. Cloth cover, a little worn at the corners. Pages thick enough to turn softly. The color might be gray-green, or perhaps the lamp makes it so. When it opens near the middle, where a plain paper bookmark, where a plain paper has been sleeping between two pages. The words on the page are small and calm, and they do not need to be followed. Perhaps they describe a garden wall, or a winter pantry, or a train that stops beside a field at dusk. Perhaps they are only lines of ink, evenly spaced, giving the eyes a place to rest, while the mind begins to loosen its grip. You carry the book back to the chair. The blanket is still folded over the arm, holding the shape it made for you. The cup still gives a little warmth to the side table. Rain trembles on the glass beyond, then steadies again. At night, reading can become almost not reading. One sentence comes in, another drifts past. A word becomes a color, a paragraph becomes the feeling of a lamp and a chair and weather kept safely outside. You do not have to remember what the book says. The book does not mind this at all. It has rested with many day-tired readers. A page turns. The sound is thin and dry and kind. Another page waits beneath it. The shop breathes in shelves and rain. For a little while, the whole story is the touch of paper, the cup near your hand, and the low window light falling across the open book. Only a few steps away, the tea counter waits. It is tucked behind a half shelf near the front, close enough to the window that the kettle can hear the rain. The counter is made of dark oak, polished by ordinary hands. Above it, a narrow shelf holds cups that do not match exactly. One is cream with a blue rim. One is brown clay with tiny pale speckles. Is green at the handle. One is white and simple, with a curve that looks comfortable to hold. The copper kettle gives a small sigh when it is lifted. No whistle, no sharp steam. Only warmth and a scent like chamomile, oat straw, and something leafy from a garden after rain. The liquid falls into the cup with a low, rounded sound. You do not need to drink much. Holding the cup is enough, with its heat passing slowly into the palms. Along the side of the counter, small spoons hang from a rail. None of them clink. They rest inside their little shadows. From here, the reading chair looks even softer. The blanket remains there, half opened. The book lies face down in the safe way that does not hurt its spine. pages tented like a small roof. The lamp makes a circle around it. Outside, the rain arcade continues its patient work. Water gathers in the gutters high above, travels out of sight, and becomes a muffled running sound somewhere beyond the wall. The sound is steady enough to disappear into itself. The brass key, now back against the night keywood, now back against the night keeper's coat, gives one tiny touch against the leather cord as the front lock is checked from inside, and the door is secure. The room is warm. The cup fits the hands. The browsing can continue only if it wants to continue. A narrow aisle leads deeper into the shop. Its shelves seem to keep weather in a quiet order, not weather to study. No charts, no warnings, no names to remember, only books that feel like weather. Pale grey covers for mist, blue cloth for roof rain, cream paper for fog over fields, green bindings for leaves after drizzle, a row of small brown books for dry rooms where wet coats hang near a stove. The aisle is just wide enough for slow walking. Above it, a high clerestory window looks into the upper curve of the rain arcade. You can see drops sliding down the glass from the outside, carrying the lamps into long wavering lines. The shop remains dry beneath them, the shop. Thought. That is part of the comfort, weather close enough to hear and far enough away to soften. An oak ladder rests along a brass rail. It is low and steady, not meant for tonight. The books higher up can stay where they are. The ones at hand height are enough. Your fingers pass near their spines and feel slight differences. A ribbed cloth, a smooth cover, a paper label that has softened with years. At the end of the aisle, a little table holds folded maps of imaginary neighborhoods, each one closed. With a plain ribbon, no map needs to be opened. The table is another small place where the mind can set down the habit of searching. Behind you, the tea counter lamp glows through shelf gaps. Ahead, a warmer room opens beyond an arch, where two chairs face a window, and the rain makes the glass roof above them shine like a calm river turned overhead. The window nook holds two chairs and a low table between them. One chair is deep blue, worn pale at the arms. The other is green velvet with a cushion that has remembered many quiet evenings. The table is round, just large enough for a cup, a book, and a bookmark. Beneath it lies a small rug patterned with leaves so faded that they seem to be turning into shadowed. This nook faces the arcade at an angle. From here, you can see the covered walkway stretching away beyond the glass, empty, yes, and golden. Rain falls above it in layers. Some drops strike the high roof and vanish into sound. Some slide down the slanted panes. Some gather on the outer ribs of metal and hang there, bright as beads, before slipping out of sight. Across the arcade, the closed cafe window reflects the bookshop lamps. Chairs are stacked neatly on tables inside. A row of cups rests upside down on a towel. The whole little cafe seems to be sleeping in a tidy way, with no one needing anything from it. Until morning, you sit in whichever chair feels closest. The cup comes with you. The book may come too, or it may remain by the front lamp. The shop does not mind. The chair receives you as if the evening had made room for this pause. A shelf beside the nook holds very small books, the kind that fit in a coat pocket. Their covers are soft and plain. One has a pressed leaf tucked near its middle, visible only as a darker shape through the page edge. Rain, chair, cup, window. Those 4 words become enough. The arcade beyond the glass, it becomes less like a street and more like a long covered lullaby. Some books in the nook open to pictures of rooms, not grand rooms. No rooms with people waiting inside them. Simple rooms, drawn in soft ink and washed with quiet color. A pantry with jars on one shelf. A bedroom under an attic roof. A little tiled room where wet boots dry near a stove. A room with a single chair and a window looking onto rain. You turn one page and there is another room. A library corner with a ladder asleep on its rail. A now kitchen with a blue bowl on the table. A conservatory with fern shadows on the floor. The pictures do not ask to be understood. They are places the eye can enter for a moment, then leave without regret. The text beneath each picture is too small to matter. A few lines, a caption perhaps, it can remain unread. At night, the pictures are enough. The cup rests near your hand. The tea has cooled slightly, and that is pleasant too. Its warmth is gentler now. The blanket from the front chair has been brought to the nook, or has somehow always been here, folded across the second chair. Sleepy rooms often provide what is needed without ceremony. For a moment, the rain on the glass roof becomes fuller, not louder, like many small touches crossing the same pane. Then it returns to the earlier pattern: podge, roan, lamp, rain, another page, another room. The book becomes less a story than a quiet hallway of places, each one already safe, already lit, and willing to be passed through slowly. Beyond the window nook, a back corridor slips between 2 tall shelves. It is not hidden. It is simply placed where quiet visitors would notice it. After the chair, after the tea, after the first easy pages. The corridor has a lower ceiling and the sound of rain changes there. It becomes more distant, filtered through rooms and shelves, still present but softer around the edges. The runner on the floor is darker than the one near the door. Muted green with a pattern of small squares. The walls hold narrow shelves of folded paper, notebooks without labels, and slim volumes tied with linen tape. The books here look as though they are resting after being useful all day. A few doors line the corridor. Each door is closed, but not forbidding. Warm light shows beneath one. Another has a coat hook with a soft grey shawl hanging from it. A third has a little ceramic plate on the wall, blank and glazed, reflecting the corridor lamp. The night keeper walks just far enough ahead to keep the path easy. The little brass weight rests against the coat, tucked on its leather cord, making no sound now. Its work at the front door is done for a while. The shop has accepted the night. You pass a small table with extra candles, unlit, and a jar of paper stars folded from old catalogue pages. The stars are not decorations for celebration. They are only tiny paper things made during quiet hours and saved in a jar, because small patience is worth saving. At the corridor's end, the room opens upward. A wooden stair curves toward a mezzanine, and beneath it waits another chair, another lamp, and a shelf of books wide enough to rest open on the lap. The stair beneath the mezzanine is broad and shallow. Each step is made for easy climbing, with a wide tread and a smooth front edge. A lamp glows on every third step, tucked close to the wall, so the light falls down rather than outward. The handrail is polished by many hands, and it feels warm even in the deeper part of the shop. There is no need to climb quickly here. The mezzanine is simply the next softer layer of the bookshop. It is visible through the railings above. Shelves curve around it. A few chairs sit between them. The ceiling under the arcade roof rises higher there, and the rain can be heard more clearly again, tapping on the long glass panes above the upper gallery. Halfway up, the view back toward the front of the shop becomes calm and small. The window nook is a pool of amber and green. The tea counter is only a copper glow. The front chair sits beside the rain-streaked glass, with the blanket folded over one arm. The book you opened earlier rests there or rests in memory. Either way, it has not been lost. The stairs give one soft note underfoot, then another. Not a creak to notice, more like the wood answering politely and settling again. At the landing, a low shelf holds bowls of bookmarks. Ribbon, pressed paper, thin slices of pale wood. One bookmark has the faint scent of cedar. Another is blue-gray, like rain reflected in stone. You leave them where they are. The mezzanine waits with quiet chairs and a wider view of the arcade roof. The rain continues above, soft as pages, turning in another room. The mezzanine gallery circles the upper part of the bookshop like a quiet balcony. Its railing is solid and low, made of dark wood with rounded posts. Nothing feels exposed or high. The gallery is more like an upstairs room that happens to look down on another room. Along the outer wall, tall shelves reach almost to the glass roof. Along the inner curve, reading lamps sit on small tables, each with a chair angled toward the shelves or toward the rain. Up here, the arcade roof feels closer. The rain moves over it in long diagonal paths, then gathers along the ribs of iron and glass. The sound is still gentle, but more textured. Tap, hush, slide, gather. The pattern repeats without asking to be counted. You walk along the gallery slowly. Some shelves hold books too large for the lower rooms. Atlases of invented islands, albums of window views, collections of quiet household things, spoons, shutters, folded linens, lamps, garden gates, porch steps after rain. Their titles can remain half seen. The pictures on their spines are enough. Below, the front of the bookshop glows through the railing posts. The chair, the lamp, the tea counter, the long runner, the locked door to the arcade. Everything below, smaller, has become smaller, but not farther away. You could return whenever you liked. The route remains easy. A chair near the railing has a cushion the color of old cream. Beside it is a footstool. On the table, someone has left a book open to a page of painted shelves. The page looks very much like the room around you. The shop repeats itself in a kind way. Shelf inside book, book inside shelf. Rain over roof, lamp under rain, a gallery where nothing needs finishing. The chair on the mezzanine is a little firmer than the one downstairs, and that is pleasant too. It holds the back gently upright. The footstool is low enough to be easy. The side table is just wide enough for the cup. If the cup has followed you, and if it has not, the table is content to hold only lamplight. The large book on the table opens without effort. Its pages are heavy and the pictures are wide. One page shows a row of tiny bookshops under a covered arcade. Another shows a stair like the one you climbed. Another shows a chair beside a rain window. With a blanket on the arm, the pictures repeat the world in softer and softer ways. Not as a puzzle, not as a mirror. You need to understand, only as bedtime places do, folding the same comfort into different shapes until the mind no longer needs something new. Rain moves across the glass roof and sends faint shadows over the open page. The shadows pass slowly, like water seen from below. The lamp holds the words steady, but you do not have to read them. The page can stay open. For a while, the story stays here. The chair, the open book, the quiet railing, the front shop below. The rain above, a breath, comes in with the smell of paper and tea. A breath leaves with the sound of rain already waiting to receive it. Somewhere downstairs, the kettle settles. Somewhere along the gallery, a book leans more comfortably against its neighbor. The movement is too small to matter, and gentle enough to notice, only if noticing feels easy. The chair keeps its shape, the page keeps its place. The night keeps the bookshop softly closed around you. Near the mezzanine chair is a shelf of unfinished evenings. That is only what the shelf seems to be. No label says it. The books there all have ribbons somewhere in the middle. Some ribbons are blue, some cream, some brown, some narrow as threads. A few books are open in wooden stands, but their pages are covered by thin cloths so the words can rest. These are not stories waiting anxiously to be completed. They are only evenings that stopped at a comfortable place. A chapter half read before sleep. A travel note paused at a harbor. A recipe remembered without needing to be made. A letter begun and then folded into a drawer because the night became too calm for writing. The bookshop keeps such pauses carefully. It does not mistake unfinished for neglected. It knows there is kindness in leaving a thing where it can be found again, and also kindness in letting it remain untouched. On the shelf below, a small box holds spare spectacles, each folded neatly in its own cloth sleeve. Beside the box is a dish of pencil stubs, all sharpened but unused. A square of blotting paper rests under the lamp. The whole shelf feels like a desk. After the person has gone to bed and the room has decided to protect the quiet, you may look at the ribbons without choosing one. Blue ribbon, cream ribbon, brown ribbon. Page beneath cloth. Lamp beneath shelf. Rain above glass. The leather cord gives a faint touch. As the leather cord gives, the night-keeper passes near the stair, checking nothing in particular, only keeping the small order of the rooms. The unfinished evenings remain unfinished in the most restful way. Nothing asks to be resolved before sleep. Behind the gallery, partly hidden by a shelf of oversized picture books, there is a small, rounded door. It is not tucked away for surprise. It is simply the sort of door a quiet old bookshop might have for bringing books from one room to another when the front aisles are full. The paint is the color of deep green leaves after rain. The handle is brass, worn smooth. A small lamp above it gives only enough light to show the keyhole. The night keeper lifts the soft brass key from the worn leather cord. It fits here too, with the same mild certainty it had at the front door. The lock turns with a click. So quiet it seems to belong to the shelves. Beyond the door is a narrow passage lined with book carts. Their wheels are wrapped in felt. Their shelves are covered with linen. A few have pockets on the side holding dusting cloths, extra bookmarks, and soft brushes for page edges. Everything here has been prepared for moving gently. The passage slopes almost imperceptibly downward. Not enough to notice in the feet, only enough to feel that the shop is guiding you toward a quieter part of itself. The rain sound becomes muffled again. The lamps are lower. The walls are closer, but not tight. The whole place feels like the back of a house where bread cools under a cloth and everyone speaks in low voices. You walk beside the book carts without touching them. One cart holds a stack of books wrapped in brown paper. Another carries folded cloths. A third carries only an empty trays and a small green lamp. At the end of the passage, warm light spills under another door. The reading nook beyond is lower, smaller, and ready for a longer rest. The lower reading nook is almost a room inside a room. Its ceiling is low enough to make the lamps feel close. Its walls are lined with shelves only halfway up. From anyone leaving the upper plaster plain and warm, a wide chair waits in the corner, with an ottoman pulled near and a blanket folded across the back. The blanket is darker than the one upstairs, a deep green with a narrow border of cream stitching. A mug sits on a tray beside the chair. This one is heavier than the porcelain's wine cup, made of speckled clay. It holds a tea that smells faintly of toasted grain and honey. Though no sweetness has to be named, the handle is large enough for relaxed fingers. Here, the rain is distant. You can still hear it, but it has traveled through glass, shelves, stairs, corridors, and doors. It arrives as a hush around the edges of the room. The nearer sounds are smaller. A lamp's tiny hum, a blanket settling, a book spine easing against wood. You sit in the wide chair. The ottoman is exactly where the feet expect it. The mug warms one hand. The other hand rests on the blanket or on the arm of the chair, where the fabric has been brushed soft by many evenings. The shelves in this nook hold books with no bright colors: grey, green, brown, cream. Their quietness makes the room feel deeper. One shelf has a row of narrow drawers beneath it. Each drawer has a little brass pull and no label. Nothing here needs opening. Nothing needs choosing. The room has already chosen the slowest hour for you. The lower lamp dims by a breath, and the chair seems to become the center of the bookshop for a while. On the little table beside the lower chair is a book of soft household things. It is a wide book with cream pages and simple drawings. A mug with steam, a spoon in a bowl, a folded towel, a shutter half closed against rain, a candle snuffer, a pair of slippers near a bed, a chair cushion with one button in the middle, a shelf of jars, a stack of clean cloths, a window latch. The book does not explain these things. It only places them on the page with room around them, as if each ordinary object deserves a quiet square of night. You turn a page slowly, a kettle, a blanket, a reading lamp, a stair rail, a little brush for crumbs, another page, a teapot cozy, a rolled rug, a bookend shaped like a sleeping house, a covered basket. The mind can rest on these objects because they do not lead anywhere urgent. They are useful, familiar, and still. They belong to rooms where the work is finished, and the evening, the leam has been put away. The mug on the tray answers the drawing of a mug on the page. The blanket across your lap answers the drawing of a blanket. The lamp beside the chair answers the drawing of a lamp. The bookshop gently repeats itself again, and repetition makes the room easier to trust. Outside the lower nook, far above, rain continues on the arcade roof. You do not have to see it now. The sound remembers the glass for you. The page turns once more. The page turns once more. A folded cloth, a closed drawer, a window with rain beyond it. The book can remain open there, holding ordinary things in ordinary peace. A small map alcove opens beyond the lower reading nook. It sits under the curve of the stair, though from here the stair feels far away. The alcove has a round table, a single chair, and shelves of rolled maps tied with cotton ribbon. Some ribbons are cream, some are green, some are grey-blue like rain seen through glass. The maps are not for finding your way tonight. The bookshop has already made the way easy. These maps are restful maps. They show covered passages, window seats, gardens behind walls, ferry landings, kitchen doors, book rooms, and the quiet spaces between lamps. The lines are soft. The names, if there are names, are written too small to read. One map lies open on the table. It shows the Rain Arcade as a long glass spine, with little warm squares on either side for the sleeping shops. In the middle is the bookshop, drawn larger than the others, with its front chair, tea counter, back corridor, mezzanine, lower nook, and a few rooms not yet visited. The map does not make the place feel complicated. It makes it feel held. Every route returns to warmth. Every corridor has a lamp. Every chair is near a shelf. Every shelf is near a way back. The worn leather cord rests again in the night keeper's pocket. Its work is quiet now, but the idea of it remains. A small sure object, opening only safe doors, closing only what should stay peaceful behind you. You may sit at the map table for a moment. The chair is plain wood with a cushion tied at the back. The lamp shows the map's pale colors without asking you to remember them. When the eyes grow tired of lines, the map can become only paper. When paper grows too much, the alcove can become only lamplight. There is a back window where the arcade appears from a new angle. It looks out not onto the main walkway, but onto a smaller side of the covered arcade where the roof lowers and the lamps are fewer. Rainwater runs along a high gutter above the glass, hidden except where it passes a little bronze spout and falls in a fine chain into a stone basin outside. The basin catches the water without splash, only a soft, repeating touch. From this window, the closed shops look different. The stationer's envelopes are only pale rectangles. The cafe cups are only a row of quiet curves. The clockmaker's window shows no clock faces now, only dim round reflections. The rain has blurred everything into shapes easier for sleep. The bookshop reflects in the same glass. Your chair, or the chair you left behind, appears faintly. Over the arcade, the lamp appears like a second lamp outside. The shelves appear to continue through the window and across the walkway, as if the whole arcade might be a bookshop after midnight. Every closed door holding a warm room of pages. No one passes outside. No footsteps interrupt the stone floor. The city beyond the arcade remains distant, softened by rain and roof and hour. You stand or sit near the back window while the water chain keeps its tiny measure. Drop to basin, rain to glass, lamp to window, shelf to shadow. The repetition is not a measure to follow. It is only weather being gentle with architecture. After a while, the back window no longer needs to be watched. It can keep the arcade for you. The way a page keeps a pressed leaf, quietly, without effort. Near the back window is a shelf that seems to collect rain sounds. There are no actual sounds inside the jars, of course. Or perhaps there are, but they are sleeping. The jars are small and clear, each with a paper label turned partly away. One holds a few smooth pebbles. One holds folded paper. One holds a feather. One holds nothing visible at all. Beside them are wooden listening tubes, polished and unused, like instruments from a gentler museum. The shelf does not invite experiment or decision. It is only a place where the different kinds of rain can be held gently without needing to separate them. Rain on glass, rain in a gutter, rain on stone, rain on the awning, rain traveling through a pipe far behind the wall, rain slipping down the window, rain resting in the basin below the bronze spout. Each kind of rain belongs to the same quiet. Each one finds the bookshop and becomes softer. A small lamp behind the jars turns them amber at the edges. The empty jar glows most clearly, holding only light. You may look through it and see the arcade, stretched and curved by the glass. All the lamps bending into one warm ribbon. The shelf has no lesson. It is not a display to understand. It is a place where the mind can let sound become object, and object settle into stillness. You breathe in the paper scent of the back room. You breathe out with the rain already continuing. Nothing changes quickly here. The jars remain on the shelf. The labels remain unread. The rain keeps all its soft names and needs none of them spoken again. The way back upstairs is familiar now, and familiar things ask less from the mind. The map alcove remains behind with its open paper. The lower chair remains warm in memory. The book of household things stays on its side table, open perhaps to a folded towel, a shutter, a mug, or nothing you need to recall. The back window keeps the quieter side of the arcade. The rain sounds remain gathered on their little shelf. You return through the narrow passage of book carts. Their linen covers hang still. Their felt wheels do not move. The small green lamp on the empty tray glows as if it has one simple task and is content to do it. The rounded door opens back to the mezzanine gallery. It has been left gently ajar, held by a wedge of dark, felt so it cannot close sharply. The detail is small. The bookshop is made of small kindnesses. The stairs wait with their low lamps. Each step upward is broad and easy. The handrail finds the hand. The gallery widens again at the top, and the sound of rain becomes clearer as the glass roof returns overhead. Below, the front shop glows in a deeper amber than before. The tea counter lamp is lower. The window nook is darker, but the chair shapes are still visible. The front door remains locked against the arcade's sleeping stone walkway. You do not need to decide to go next. The bookshop will make the route. Smaller, smaller now, not ending sharply, only gathering its rooms closer together. The mezzanine chair waits where the open picture book still holds the soft shape of rain across its page. The mezzanine pause can be long. Nothing new needs to enter. The same chair, the same railing, the same open book, the same roof of rain. The gallery lamps hold steady. The books along the wall lean in their quiet rows. Far below, the front room has become a softened pattern of shelves and window light. You sit again, or remain standing near the rail, or let both possibilities blur together. Sleepy stories do not require exact positions. They only keep the feeling of being held in a place that is warm, dry, and unhurried. The open picture book has turned, perhaps by a breath of air, bite, perhaps to a page showing a long arcade after midnight. The drawing is simple: glass roof, stone floor, closed shops, one bookshop window, rain everywhere above, and no one walking quickly. It is the place you entered, made smaller on a page. The mind may notice this and then let it go. A place inside a book inside a place, a roof holding rain, a room holding warmth, a chair holding rest. The words can grow sparse now. There is no need to keep filling the room. The rain already fills it in the gentlest way. The lamp already fills the page. The shelf already fills the wall. The night already fills the arcade outside. You may let the bookshop become less detailed. The lower nook becomes a green warmth. The map alcove becomes a pale circle. The tea counter becomes copper and steam. The front chair becomes blanket and lamp. The arcade becomes glass and rain. The mezzanine remains close and still, until the next step down feels almost like drifting rather than walking. The descent to the front room is slower than the climb. The stairs are broad enough to take one at a time without thought. The lamps near the wall seem lower now, their amber light resting close to the treads. The handrail runs smoothly beside you. It has the quiet steadiness of an object that has helped many people move through dim rooms without needing to look down. At the bottom, the front bookshop feels smaller than before, as if the deeper rooms have folded themselves back into it. The corridor, the lower nook, the map alcove, the rain sound shelf, the mezzanine gallery, all of them are still present, but now they rest behind shelves and stairs. Content to be part of the warm dark, the tea counter has been tidied without any noticeable moment of tidying. The kettle sits on a folded cloth. The cups are turned mouth down on a towel. The biscuits under glass remain untouched or partly remembered. The lamp above the counter glows very low. The first reading chair waits by the window. This is the chair from the beginning, and it is easy to recognize by feeling more than by sight. The blanket has been opened slightly. The side table holds the cup, refilled, or simply still warm in the way bedtime rooms sometimes are. The first book lies beside it, with the bookmark tucked safely inside. Outside, the arcade is emptier than empty. It is restful. The covered walkway shines. Rain continues on the roof. The closed shops seem farther away now, softened by glass and time. You return to the chair. The room gives no announcement. It only receives you again, as if returning has always been part of the route. The first book opens again, and the story inside can be left mostly unkept. A line appears. A cottage, perhaps. A path, perhaps. A kitchen window with rain beyond it. Then the words soften and become only the movement of reading. The eyes follow a little way, then rest. The page waits. The book does not mind. This kind of reading belongs to the last part of a quiet night. It is not for finishing a chapter, remembering names, or finding out what happens. It is letting the page make a small shelter under the lamp. The blanket has warmed fully now. Its feet is familiar. The cup beside you has cooled to a gentle warmth. The chair's arms are soft where the hands rest. The rain beyond the glass roof has become so steady that it no longer seems to begin or end. Across the arcade, the clockmaker's dark window reflects the bookshop lamp. The reflected lamp trembles when water moves over the glass, then becomes whole again. The stationer's pale envelopes sit in their tray. The covered flowers sleep in their buckets. The cafe cups remain upside down in a row. Everything is still. Where it was, everything can remain without intention. The page turns once. The sound is quiet enough to belong to the rain. Another line appears, and then another. But they do not gather into anything that needs carrying. Only paper, only lamplight, only a chair in a bookshop under rain. The story outside the book and the story inside the book begin to move at the same slow pace. And that pace is nearly still. The bookshop begins to settle its shelves, not by moving in any way that would startle, only by becoming more clearly at rest. A book that was leaning slightly finds the shoulder of the book beside it. A loose ribbon slips deeper between pages. A bookmark lies flat. The edge of a cloth on the tea counter relaxes by a small fold. The lamps lower one shade at a time. The front window remains warm, but the corners of the room grow less distinct. The back corridor becomes a gentle dark between shelves. The stair becomes a curved shadow with little amber steps. The mezzanine railing becomes a row of soft posts above. You do not need to watch the settling. It happens whether watched or not, the way rain keeps happening on the other side of glass. The brass key is back in the night keeper's pocket now. It has opened the bookshop, opened the small door behind the gallery, and returned to quiet. It will not be needed again until the last lamp is ready and the arcade door can rest behind the night. The front chair holds you with the same patience. The blanket stays across the knees. The book stays open or closed. The cup stays near the lamp. There is less to name now. Shelf, lamp, blanket, rain, chair, book. The words can come farther apart. The room can continue between them. A small glow remains at the tea counter. Another remains on the mezzanine. Another, very low, near the map alcove. The bookshop does not go dark all at once. It only becomes easier and easier to stop looking. The Rain Arcade after midnight is a long room of glass and stone. From the bookshop window, it no longer seems like a passage to somewhere else. It is its own quiet place. The roof holds the rain. The lamps hold small circles on the stone. The closed shop fronts hold their tidy darkness. Every reflection is softened by water, and every shadow has a warm edge. No footsteps come. No doors open. No carts move over the stones. The arcade has been emptied of hurry so completely that even distance feels restful. At one end, the lamps disappear into blue-grey dimness. At the other, they bend around a corner and become only a suggestion of more covered walkway, more roof rain, more closed windows, as taking care of themselves until morning. The bookshop sits in the middle of it, all like a hearth behind glass. The rain does not grow stronger. It does not stop. It simply continues, and that is enough. The high gutters carry water away with a low hidden sound. The panes receive new drops. The old drops slide down and vanish. Nothing needs to be marked. Inside, the chair is warm. Inside, the book is near. Inside, the cup rests on its saucer. Inside, the blanket has learned your shape, or simply the shape of rest. The arcade outside and the bookshop inside belong to the same calm. Glass between them, rain above them, lamplight through them. You may let the arcade blur. Let the stationer's window become cream. Let the cafe become blue cups. Let the clockmaker become round shadows. Let the bookshop become amber. Let the rain join all of it into one long, sheltered night. The second cup cools slowly beside the lamp. At first, there is a little steam, then only warmth, then the quiet sense of a cup that has done what it came to do. It has warmed the hands, scented the air, and rested beside the chair through several pages, several breaths, and many soft strokes of rain. The saucer makes a pale ring in the lamplight. The handle points slightly toward the chair. A small spoon lies unused on the folded cloth, its bowl catching the lamp as a dull oval of gold. Nothing needs washing tonight. Nothing needs washing tonight. Nothing needs clearing away. The bookshop will keep the cup until morning. The book has closed around its bookmark. The cover rests upward, its cloth color deepened by the low light. The bookmark ribbon hangs out by an inch, enough to mark the place without asking you to return to it. Now, you could measure time by the cooling of tea, but there is no need to measure it. The cooling is only another gentle change, like a lamp lowering or rain sliding down glass. The chair remains, the blanket remains, the window remains, the arcade remains. The night keeper moves once near the front door, quietly enough that the movement is more like a change in shadow. The cord is not lifted. The lock is not touched. The door is already resting. The cup cools a little more. The room warms around it. That is the way of this hour. Small things changing slowly, larger things staying kind. Every object allowed to finish its work without hurry. The front ant lamp lowers. It does not go out. It only gathers its light closer to the table, the cup, the closed book, and the edge of the blanket. The rug beyond the chair becomes less patterned. The shelves beyond the rug become less separate. The back of the shop becomes a warm depth rather than a set of rooms. This is how the bookshop prepares for the long quiet. First, the corners soften. Then the titles fade. Then the colors become simpler. Cream paper, dark wood, green shade, amber lamp, rain glass. The mind can follow those few things without effort, or not follow them at all. The room will keep them. The rain on the arcade roof continues in a wide, even hush. Sometimes a thread of water runs faster down one pane and catches the lamplight. Sometimes a drop gathers at the edge of the awning and lets go beyond the window. These are not events to follow. They are only the night turning itself over softly. The front door stands closed. The ribbon bell is still. The counter is dim. The mezzanine above is now almost only a curve of shadow and a few low lights. The small door behind the gallery is closed again, not sharply, simply resting in its frame. You do not need to remember the route. The bookshop remembers it for you. The chair remembers the front window. The stair remembers the mezzanine. The lower nook remembers the warm mug. The map remembers the arcade. And the rain remembers the roof, touching it again and again with patient hands. Now the rooms can begin to fold together, not disappearing, not closing against you, only folding the way blankets fold, one soft layer over another, until the separate edges matter less than the warmth. The front room folds around the chair and lamp. The tea counter folds around the copper kettle and the row of cups. The weather aisle folds around its grey-green books. The window nook folds around the rain arcade and the two velvet chairs. The back corridor folds around the paper stars in their jar. The mezzanine folds around the open picture book and the railing. The shelf of unfinished evenings folds around its ribbons and covered pages. The rounded door folds around the quiet passage of book carts. The lower reading nook folds around the deep green blanket and the heavy mug. The map alk folds around its pale lines. The back window folds around the bronze water chain and the stone basin. All of it folds into the bookshop under the rain arcade, and the bookshop folds into the sound of rain held safely above glass. You do not have to place the rooms in order. Order was helpful earlier when the route was opening. Now softness is enough. A chair can be beside a map. A cup can be beside a stair. A blanket can belong to the mezzanine and the lower nook and the front window. All at once, the rain can be above every room, because in this hour, the rain is less a location than a covering. The lamp lowers a little more. The arcade outside becomes a long blue-grey blur. The shop fronts opposite become pale shapes. The shelves become darker bands of comfort. The cup becomes a small curve beside the book. The book becomes a quiet rectangle. The blanket becomes warmth without edges. The chair becomes the place where the story can rest. Rain, glass, lamp, chair. The words may be simple now. Rain above the arcade, touching the roof in small, steady patterns. Glass holding the weather away while keeping its sound. Lamp beside the book, warm and low, and not asking to be seen clearly. Chair near the window, deep enough for rest, familiar enough to stop describing. Rain, glass, lamp, chair. The bookshop listens to the rain without needing to answer it. The shelves stand in rows that no longer need to be counted. The counter keeps its kettle. The cups keep their places. The stairs keep their quiet curve. The mezzanine keeps its dim rail. The lower nook keeps its heavy mug and its blanket. The map alcove keeps its pale, unread lines. Nothing has been taken away. Everything is simply less bright. There is comfort in rooms that remain while attention loosens. The book remains by the cup. The cup remains by the lamp. The lamp remains by the chair. The chair remains by the window. The window remains under the arcade roof. The roof remains under rain. One thing holds another. Another holds the next. The night holds all of it. The rain softens into a sound that could be near or far. The glass softens into a glow that could be window or memory. The lamp softens into warmth. The chair softens into rest rain, glass, lamp, chair. A page somewhere settles flat. A ribbon lies still. A shelf stays warm in shadow. The bookshop no longer needs to show you new rooms. It has shown enough for tonight. Now, it keeps the same room, the same sound, the same low light, and the same safe quiet, as long as the night needs. The arcade keeps watch in its quiet way. Its lamps remain small and amber along the stone walkway. Its glass roof remains high and dark and beaded with rain. Its closed shop fronts remain closed in the easy way of places that will open again when morning asks. But do not need to think about morning yet. The bookshop window is the warmest part of the arcade. Behind it, the chair and lamp make a shape that could be seen from outside, though no one is there to see it. The green awning holds its shadow above the door. The ribboned bell is still. The brass lock rests quietly in the frame. Far above, rainwater travels through hidden gutters. The sound is so low now that it blends with the roof. Rain, the floor stillness, the breath of the room. The whole arcade becomes one covered place, longer than a room, safer than a street. Full of weather that reaches you only as sound. Inside the bookshop, the front lamp remains low. The front lamp remains low. The cup remains on the saucer. The book remains closed around its ribbon. The blanket remains warm. The night keeper remains only as a calm presence near the edge of the story, tending the threshold without asking to be noticed. No ending needs to arrive sharply. The arcade can keep raining. The bookshop can keep glowing. The chair can keep holding its quiet shape. The shelves can keep their books in soft rows. If a room somewhere in the back still has a lamp, it can stay lit. If a map remains open, it can stay open. If a page waits, it can wait. Everything here can continue gently beyond the part you follow. At last, only the smallest movements remain. The night keeper crosses the front room quietly. The chair stays by the window. The book stays by the cup. The blanket stays in its warm fold. The rain stays above the arcade roof, steady and soft, as if it has all night to finish one gentle thought. The lamp near the door is lowered until it becomes a little pool of amber on the floor. The ribboned bell hangs without moving. The lock is checked with one hand, not because they're from any worry, not because there is any worry, but because bedtime rooms like to know their doors are resting properly. The soft brass key returns to the night keeper's pocket on its worn leather cord. Its edge touches the cloth once and is still. The door stays warm. The lantern stays low. The arcade stays covered in rain. The bookshop stays full of quiet shelves, cooled tea, folded blankets, unread maps, open rooms, closed doors, and all the gentle pauses that do not need to become anything else. The story can remain here, in the chair by the window, under the glass roof, with rain moving above and lamplight resting below. If the cup cools, it cools kindly. If the page waits, it waits easily. If the rain continues, it continues softly. The rain stays soft. And the quiet bookshop keeps its light a little longer under the glass.